Yes, approach runway 26 left. Now vector to the paddock button and use landing runways. Runway 26 left for large aircraft. And runway 26 right for light aircraft.
Well, good afternoon, gents.
How's it, guys?
How's it going, Brian?
Lehan, welcome to Brian a Podcast, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you join us. We've been, we've had this set up for a couple of weeks now. And great to finally have you here with us, man.
Well, how did it start? I think Craig Wood mentioned you to us, and then had a bit of a chat with Ryan. We said, let's have a chat with you over Zoom or whatever it was. And we had a really cool conversation. And I know both Ryan and myself were really impressed with not only what you've done so far, what you're doing, and you're an aviator. You're putting your way through your comm. I'm not going to give away the whole story. You can chat about it, but the manner in which you spoke and your sort of vision for the future is pretty much in line with Ryan and myself. So we thought, hey, we got to get you on the show. So welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me. I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
You are obviously the man behind Flying Eyes. So do you want to, let's start off. What the hell is Flying Eyes?
Technically, I don't think I can take all the credit for Flying Eyes. I am the man behind Flying Eyes South Africa. It's a sunglasses brand made for pilots by pilots, and that does sound cliche, but this actually is a brand that was created by a pilot. The owner of the company, Mr. Dean Siracusa, is from Texas, and about 18 years ago he decided, okay, cool, I'm done struggling to find a proper pair of sunglasses that either doesn't break my ears when I put my headset on, and I have these Bose A20s that's clamping down on them. And the other thing was he also wanted something that is not polarized. We spoke a bit earlier about the polarization. I mean, you can't go into a flight deck with polarized sunglasses, and he couldn't find something that was comfortable, that was light, that was durable, and that's where Flying Eyes was born. He created the brand. He sold his small aircraft, and he created the brand, and I have a pair of them right here. So
They're awesome. They
play around with them a little bit. I don't know. Do you want me to explain it to you?
What's interesting with these is the material that the frames are made out of. You were bending them earlier, and I thought, geez, if I bend my Ray-Bans like that, it's not gonna end well. So is that where the comfort comes from? The fact that you can actually put them in a comfortable position on your head, and you can actually then, you always get those, remember those like cross country flights, and you end up, I had one of those, I can't remember what headset it was, but honestly it was one of these real old school
David de Klerk's.
No, it wasn't even as cool as that. It was terrible, and at the end of the day you got one hell of a headache. So this obviously eliminates that.
Yeah, so it's called resilimide is the material that it's made from. And the thing with resilimide is it's designed to be super lightweight, super flexible, and super, super, super strong.
Okay.
So like you said earlier, I mean, this thing can literally bend
Jeez.
in any direction. It does freak you out the first time you do it, but you get used to it after a while. And like you rightly said, Brian, the whole idea behind it is to fit underneath your headset, to fit underneath the where the clamping force is, and then this bends around your head super comfortably, and it just allows the headset to sit where it wants to, and the sunglasses sit where they want to, and they're so light. I don't know if you guys have actually picked it up or felt it before, but I mean they're really, really light.
This is mad, man. It's that's incredibly
It's like
light.
new tech. So this week's tech tip.
Resilimite for everything.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. And I mean, how many pilots have sat on their sunglasses as well? What about
I
the
don't
lenses?
know. I remember
Check
you.
these out.
You went through a few pairs.
Yeah.
And the lenses, is this a standard lens, different lenses?
That is a standard lens. So we also have a couple of
very nice,
optometrists that are involved with us to help us out with prescription lenses, because that's obviously a need for some of the pilots.
Yeah.
But yeah, these lenses are 100% UV proof, so the highest UV rating that you can have. And like I said earlier, they're not polarized, so that's not an issue. They have anti-glare on the front of the lenses, so you don't get all of those lights in the cockpit, especially with night flying. You don't get some of the lights into the flight deck. But yeah, we have a couple of lens options. The most popular one is actually one that Craig tested for me, is the gradient gray, which is super light at the bottom and then it's darker at the top.
Okay.
So you don't have to take the sunglasses off to see what's going on in the flight deck. You can actually just look straight through them.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable, very cool. So
Cool, man.
What makes this even cooler, Ryan, is that if you go into our show notes and you click Flying Eyes, this man will know that you've done it through Brian Air, and if you purchase a pair, then you'll actually be supporting us as well. So, yeah, we've gone into like a little bit of a collab together, and very cool. I want to talk. All right, so we got a nice rundown of the glasses, but Ryan and I, for a while, we've been thinking, taking the podcast forward. How do we do it? In other words, we can't go and partner up with 100 other companies, and we're not going to get massive sponsorship opportunities like old Joe Rogan has done. It's just we're not in that type of industry. But you presented us something that I thought, man, this guy knows what he's doing. You got an awesome shop. You've got sort of an affiliate link that you gave us, so I can click on it. I can look at the dashboard. I can see how many people have gone from our show to your shop, how many conversions there have been on sales and things like that. And data like that is so useful to us to know that are our adverts working. But I just like how quick and easy it was and so little fuss. And it actually, you have built us a little business model, because we carry on what we're doing, but we can partner with as many companies as we like. Obviously, we're going down the strategy of more than happy to partner with someone like you with a product that we believe in. That's the key. You're not going to go and start advertising to our listeners who we value a lot a product that is inferior or doesn't work. So it ticks all the boxes. So well done there, Leon. Very, very cool, man.
More to that, though. I think what we got to mention is the reason for the collab as well. I mean, obviously, we like the product. It fits in with the type of guys that listen to our show, mainly aviators. But the reason that you got behind this is the drive to get yourself to the end of your commercial pilot license. And I think that's what got myself and Brian excited initially when we spoke to you, is because there's a bit of drive. You're doing this to raise money to fund yourself through your pilot's license, and that's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that I don't want to say don't
Give
have
me a
that
bursary.
drive. Yeah, they're waiting for things to happen for them.
cadet program or something.
So I think this is why it works for us, because it's we're of a similar mindset. If you want something, go out there and get it, and that's what you're doing, and that's awesome, man. Well done for that.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, I think that was something. Well, just something that I have to mention. Talking about your audience, you guys did negotiate a bit of a discount for your audience as well. So I just would like to mention that if you
did Ryan negotiate that, or did
it was Ryan and I. we spoke last week quickly while you were jet setting the whole of Europe.
I was hoping to try and skate that one, because I did open my big fat mouth last week prematurely.
If you want to go into a partnership with Ryan, you must know that
it's going to cost me money.
It's going to cost you money.
Yeah, that's 2 hours less training for me for this month, but nevertheless. So if you go into the shop, into the Flying Eyes website, and you go to purchase one of the pairs, you can put in the coupon code BRIANAIR in the coupon code space, and you'll get a 10% discount on any product. There's no limit to it. The only thing is you have to be a listener of the Brian Air podcast.
Hey,
That's magic.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love
Thanks,
it.
Leon. Yeah, you kind of saved my bacon there.
Yeah, well done there,
You're
guys.
welcome.
Maybe that was just your clever way, Ryan, of negotiating something with
You see
skipping
now.
a few steps. You were thinking ahead.
That's exactly what I was doing.
You're being productive, working with your... Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I was listening
Sorry,
to the
Leon.
podcast
I
last
have my
week. and
magic.
Yeah.
I was listening to the podcast last week. I was like, now we have to give a discount. So.
Yeah.
But you also realized, damn, it's a good idea.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to give credit where it's due. It was a good idea.
Very cool. But
Awesome.
listen, you're I'll say a youngster. You're starting out your career. You've got this mentality that I see with a lot of young people these days, and you've got this sort of go-getter side. You've started. You do a couple of things actually. You got some web design going on. You mentioned you've done, been in the sound industry. You've done quite a lot for being a young man. Now, you going into a very traditional sector, all right? Being an airline pilot it's a job you join. You start off as a junior pilot and you work your way up a seniority list. I've never been a fan of those seniority lists, but that's traditionally how airlines work. Now, question for you. Are you going into aviation with that traditional mindset, or are you going in and saying, hang on, I saw what happened in 2020. I'm not going to stop learning. I'm not going to stop building my own things on the side. We won't call it a side hustle because they're not. You've got a proper business there. You're going to keep all that stuff going while you hopefully go and get an airline job?
Yeah, I think my mindset from the beginning was that, because I spoke to a lot of guys and I tried to get to a lot of flight schools before I even started with my training to try and talk to people in the industry. And that's something that I always encourage people to do, is go out and talk to the people that are actually doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's always very romanticized, but when you get there, then you realize, okay, this is not how it actually is. There's X and Y and Z to it. And with regards to the airline industry in particular, I know there's a lot of off time and you have a lot of restrictions with regards to the amount of hours you're allowed to fly per week, per month, and so on. And when I started with the web design, that actually was something that I'm very grateful for. One of my friends, he just dragged me into it, and I self-studied about 7 years ago how to do that. But it's always something that you can do when you have off time. I need an internet connection and I need a client, and then there's a business. So and like I said, there's always off time when you're a pilot. You're always waiting for something. There's always bad weather. So especially now with the training moving towards something. I mean, while I'm not instrument rated yet, if there's a thunderstorm, I can't fly. So you have to just go about and do something. I mean, and I've always had the idea that it's much more productive to be doing something worthwhile and something productive than watching a show on Netflix.
No, I agree with you.
That's fantastic. I mean, at least I like what you said. You went out there, you did your research, you've kind of got a feel and an idea of what's coming your way. And you're not just going to let all this hard work go on the idea that being a pilot is cool and I can just chillax and make big bucks and it's great. No, don't lose that. You need to maintain that drive and
Keeps your mind active as well.
But it's kind of refreshing. We spoke about it the other day. That kind of seems to be the mantra amongst most youngsters nowadays. The guys realize that obviously aviation's changed. The industry has evolved somewhat. And the need to do something alongside flying is definitely going to be there.
Yeah, and I think the Flying Eyes was also a very strategic decision for me because it's still within the aviation industry. I know Brian mentioned something in 2 or 3 podcasts ago with guys saying on their LinkedIn that they are passionate about aviation and how aviation is a very broad term, and I had to go and redo my LinkedIn profile right after that. But
I think a lot of guys' LinkedIn profiles changed after that.
I was like, okay, I'm interested in this thing within aviation specifically,
Yeah.
Uncle Brian. But but with Flying Eyes, I mean, it's still in the aviation industry, and even if there, God forbid, something happens and I do lose my medical, I can still be involved in the aviation industry, because that is what I'm passionate about. That is where I want to go, and that's how I've set up everything. So
after everything that's happened, that is without doubt the mindset to have. And you know, one of the things I said, you know, think about what it is in aviation that you are passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, one of the best things for me being a pilot wasn't always just the actual flying part. I used to love walking through the airport terminal. You know, stop at Woolworths, get a cup of coffee, bump into a few of your other mates who are flying for other airlines, have a chat. And that was always like, that was such a big aspect that I've now lost, right? But you'll find there's like little individual passions along the way, and that's what led to the podcast. I mean, I always enjoyed sitting in a flight deck. Nothing worse for me when you start bitching and moaning about your roster or management or your salary, but I always enjoyed talking about the industry, what's happening in the industry. So that's what led to the podcast. And if it wasn't for an awareness of a passion, then it wouldn't have led to the podcast. So you need to find those things. Was on a podcast the other day you and I listened to, where it might have been Lex Friedman's one with Robert Breedlove. They were saying they were talking about how to find your values and your core values. And one of the ways that was mentioned was, what are the things that scare you the most? Because the opposite of that will be one of your core values.
Yeah.
So,
in other words, it's almost your fears that drive you.
It's your fears that drive you, yeah. So if you know, when you're trying to think, what is it? People after during the pandemic, we encourage people, go and do something. Well, it's easier said than done.
True.
What the hell are you going to do?
Yeah.
These guys are pilots. They love flying airplanes, and I think if more guys had a little bit more self-awareness of actually what is it that makes me love aviation so much, it would have been a little bit easier to branch off in that direction. I know we're getting a little bit deep here.
Yeah, very philosophical.
But you wanted it to be like Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go for it.
Whip up the cigars and whiskey just now.
Sign me up, coach.
But yeah, because we've got Lehan, I thought this is a good opportunity to talk about these things, because you know, if you and I are here together, it's a bit difficult to bring this topic up. But having an awareness of what your passion is key, and it might change along the way. Just be aware of it, and then adjust your strategy going forward. That's what I think.
Absolutely. No, it's good advice. I mean, you know, while we were talking about this earlier, it just rang. I was reminded of what happened to us last year, and the sudden sort of idea of like, well, what now? You know,
shock and horror.
There was no forward plan. There was no plan B. There was nothing. It was just this abyss of, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then you had to start moving and hustling. And you know, it's very important for guys getting into the industry now to have that plan B, to know that, well, if this, then that. And you know, don't get caught by surprise again should there be another event such as what's happened over the last
There were lots of these words that got thrown around, transferable skills and pivoting and all these things. And I think there was a lot of people trying to, you know, almost sort of make sense about what they're going to do with their own lives.
Yeah.
The reality is, I think a little bit of advice that I could give, do something that you're good at, first of all.
Yeah.
You've obviously are good at what you do. You're good at the web design, so you do it. You know, that generally will lead down a positive outcome path. But yeah, I almost, when after the other night, I was having a few whiskeys round, we started having a chat, and we were watching some of our old podcasts, and you know, I was watching there and going, shit, how could I say that? We're saying, guys, you got to go do something. You got to, you know, get out. What are you gonna? Well, let's be honest, you know, what, you got to go start a business tomorrow? You don't even know what the hell it is. And you know, looking back, you think, you know, what advice would I give now? And I think having an idea of your passion is such a critical one. But let's move on a little bit, should we?
Yeah, let's do that.
You've got a lot of news, Ryan.
Plenty
I've done
news
no
this
prep,
week.
so it'll
Is it?
yeah.
So it's all falling on me this week. No problem. I told you I'd have your back. But as far as news goes, it's been quite an eventful week. Let's start off with the MD-80.
Yeah.
The MD-80's featured a lot this week. First of all, that Danish airline DAT, they said goodbye to the last MD-80 in their fleet, and they celebrated that by sending an MD-80 up, or the last one that was flying, flew around the Netherlands, drew a nice MD-80 pattern in the sky.
Oh, awesome.
Very cool. The next day, the Americans went and wrote one off in Houston.
I saw that.
Rejected takeoff. Fortunately, no one injured, and airplane, unfortunately, after a 33-year lifespan, was up in flames. But yeah, lots of news on the MD.
Leon's just flown one.
Yeah,
I did.
and we're gonna post those videos in the link as well. I got some
Are
good
we?
footage. Yeah, caught you on camera, man.
I
Yeah.
landed it.
We
I landed it. It's usable again, apparently.
we're very passionate about the MD.
It's cool.
My
Yeah.
favorite aircraft.
Love it.
Best
Love
one
it.
to train on. It's best one to fly.
It was
And it is sad that they're being phased out by so many airlines, but not in Africa. There's still quite a few airlines that use them. Dana still trains with us on the MD.
There's quite a few. I was actually, when I was looking at all these articles last night, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see how many MDs are still operating, particularly in Iran, Pakistan, some up in Africa. So, the old mad dog, she's still out there.
She's alive. No, cool.
On a more positive note, job opportunities are definitely
On the
on the rise.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. I mean, if we start here in South Africa, Semi on a massive recruitment drive, looking for CRJ crew, Dash 8 crew, Beach 1900 pilots.
Thank
And
goodness for Semi, actually, because they have
they're the only
got a lot of pilots current again back in the air with jobs.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky.
Yeah.
That, as far as I know, they've been the only guys employing during this difficult period.
True.
Miles and the team there, awesome, because a lot of our friends have gotten jobs there again, and
Yeah, no, it's been a big sort of saving grace for us locally in South Africa. Fly Dubai, Qatar are trying to poach pilots from British Airways.
it's happening. Eh?
Yeah, British Airways are on a massive recruitment drive for cabin crew. And then sort of moving across to Canada, Flair Airlines are expanding at a rate of knots. And our good friend Alan McCauley over there has just landed a job on the 737 MAX.
Shout out to Al.
Yeah. He should probably be in his training phase right now. So if Al's listening, hope it's going well, Al. And send us an update.
Yeah, our correspondent from Canada,
Yeah.
Al McCauley. Good. He supported us through and through,
Yeah.
even when we had terrible episodes. Great episode, guys.
All the way. Yeah. No, we've got some loyal followers. It's just
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to give FlySafair a shout out this week as well. They've gone out with this really cool initiative. They've put out a petition to have our government think or rethink the policy on public holidays going forward. You know, if a public holiday falls on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday,
Yeah, those are the worst.
yeah, they're terrible. It kind of disrupts the week.
Yeah.
Not only is it crap for us because it's like, well, you could have turned this into a long weekend. Most people end up taking out leave days, etc., etc. But it disrupts the businesses. So, they're getting this petition together to try and convince government to shift those public holidays and create long weekends out of them. And that obviously encourages more air travel over the long weekends. And
That's an awesome idea.
That's cool.
more long weekends would be a bonus, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It encourages. It's a
The
whole
travel, the
circle.
tourism,
That
everything.
travel, which needs. Let's face it. I mean, it's going to take a lot more than that to kickstart this
Yeah.
industry again. But you got to make a start, and that's awesome.
But what got me buzzed about this was the fact that it's such a fresh idea. No surprise that it comes from FlySafair. I mean, Craig Wood said to us a couple of months ago, he said, why don't you guys talk about what airlines are doing that are coming up with good ideas to, reboost this energy? And this is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, great initiative. So I certainly hope they get this right. And yeah, if you're listening, go and sign on to their website and sign that petition. Help it move.
Is there an actual?
There's an actual petition. You need
We'll
to
put that
in the show notes.
in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So Omar, if you are listening to the show,
How's about a 10% discount?
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Airpiece are coming back to Johannesburg from now, actually. So
Yes.
I saw the 777 parked on the apron today.
Yeah.
So that's good news. SAA, there's a bit of talk with them with Kenya.
Yeah.
Uh,
Partnering up. But, man,
you
yeah.
got anything to say about that, Leon? No,
Sorry,
don't ruin your career.
I
just
wasn't
yet.
listening. Sorry.
Ethiopian has started an interline with Airlink. Who doesn't Airlink have a partnership with?
I was about to ask the same thing.
SAA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, keep it that way.
Yeah.
On Ethiopian, those guys are just going
And girls.
ballistic. Yeah, sorry. Ethiopian Airlines Group. Have you seen they've partnered up now, throwing in a 49% stake in an airline that they're going to be starting up in the DRC called Air Congo, with 7 737s, and yeah, another partnership airline that they've got going. So they are eating up a big chunk of the market share in Africa.
Yeah.
So yeah, good luck. I think SAA and Kenyan are scrambling to compete with those guys. That's for sure.
On a slightly negative note, there's IATA have stood up this week and they've lambasted ACSA for trying to increase tariffs and make up for the lost revenue in this COVID period. ACSA then fought back and said it's got nothing to do with that, which is bullshit.
It is.
But yeah, I'm glad that he stood up and said something, because not just here, it's quite a few airports actually. I think Heathrow is a big one, and they're basically trying to fill the bag again with money, and it's just not right. The airlines simply can't afford increased tariffs. It's not
at all
at that point yet.
Thank you, IATA, for standing up for the industry, because ultimately that cost falls on the passenger.
Yep.
And I mean, gee whiz, we're trying to encourage travel, air travel in particular, and that's why the tickets are being, the industry, all the competition that's going on as a whole. You can't afford it, man. So
No, you simply can't.
Stuff you, AXA.
Did you read?
Sorry.
Politely.
A guy I feel a hell of a sorry for at the moment is a pilot called Mark Faulkner. Have you read what's going on with him?
I haven't.
He's Boeing's chief technical pilot. He's facing up to 20 years in prison.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
All for the 737 MAX accidents. I might be wrong here, but throwing one guy under the bus for, what seems like a toxic culture at Boeing for years seems absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it was more toxic than the Vol Dam.
Yo.
That was deep.
Yeah.
To pin it on one guy who's ultimately a middle manager is a bit hectic. But, he has been quoted as saying the MAX was designed by clowns who in turn are supervised by monkeys. He also said, and Ryan's quite good at this, he said he plays Jedi mind tricks on the regulators. So they've actually taken all these quotes that he said in emails and WhatsApps, and they are now being used against him, which is quite hectic. And look, I read this article in Bloomberg, and it's quite damning, I suppose, but that wasn't because of one guy.
No,
There's
not
no
at all.
ways.
Not at all. So much for the team effort, and throwing one guy under the bus is heavily unfair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, ex-Boeing pilot charged with fraud in 737 MAX probe. Check that one out. As I said, read the article on Bloomberg. It's been news for a while, but it's people in the know. It looks like this guy's going to go down, man. So, yeah. Boeing deliveries are looking a little bit better. particularly on the freighter side this year. They've a whole lot of 777s have been sold, so a few 777 freighters in September, and a few repeat orders for 737 MAX. So that was from an investment firm, 777 Partners. And 6 additional freighters include 1 FedEx and 5 unidentified customers. So freight's still a massive, massive thing. It's going to be big for a while. So, yeah, it's happening there. The orders are coming through. There haven't been a huge amount of Airbus orders of late, but I think it just goes in waves. I was going to do a bit of a presentation on who's bought what, but there seems to be this... we're in this sort of phase at the moment where we haven't quite kicked into post-pandemic mode. We everyone is still sort of seeing what happens.
Yeah.
The Atlantic stuff is open, which is great. Where it's not great is still what's going on in Hong Kong. Hong Kong remains one of the few cities in the world sticking with their zero COVID strategy. So I see pictures of some of our mates there still in quarantine and stuff like that, and it's not good.
No. And I just don't understand it. You know, I mean, they were the first sort of area to come out of this COVID period. Their numbers started decreasing a lot earlier than the rest of the world. So, yeah, I don't understand it, but yeah, maybe a little bit too conservative.
Yeah, I mean, even Australia and Singapore, they have abandoned that strategy. I mean, they're opening up now. So
I mean, for the Aussies to chillax, then you must know.
Then you must know.
Come on, Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Speaking of Australia and New Zealand, we did really well on the charts there last week, so we're probably going to plummet now.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't said...
it wasn't said in bad taste.
No. Anybody offering 10% discounts in Australia?
Yeah. Right. Leon, we spoke about sort of your ambitions where, you know, one of the things I want to ask, Ryan and I, we worked at SA Express for 10 years. One of the reasons we stayed there was because as a pilot there, the lifestyle was good. We were at home. We spent most nights at home. There were the odd night stops and that, and good bunch of guys we worked with. But ultimately, we worked there because of the quality of life that we had. Now, from what I can see, if I'm going to go back into the flight deck, I very much doubt I'm going to be doing that in South Africa. So that might be partly because that's a bit of my career that's ticked off now. And if I had to start up again, I would look offshore. Some of the guys that got burnt offshore might feel a bit differently about that. They might be looking local. But, you know, you're at flight school at the moment. What are the youngsters? What's the general consensus here? Is it get your comm, get your hours and go? Or is it, go work somewhere, work for one of the smaller operators, get some hours, try to get into Link, Safair, whatever it might be. We see youngsters overseas all the time, you know, relatively low hours, sitting right seats of 7.3s and 320s and stuff. So it's not unheard of. The industry is changing. You don't have to go and fly a caravan around for 30,000 hours before you can become a P3. You know, it is a bit different.
Yeah.
What's your take now? Where are you going, and what are your mates planning on doing?
Yeah, so I think it honestly depends on who you ask at the moment. So the guys that have connections in the industry, they are certain that they're going to get a captain job at 400 hours. They're going to walk into Kulula and they're going to be a captain or something. So, which they'll probably
That's not going to happen.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys and a lot of my friends are looking at opportunities just basically anywhere. I think I try to sort of surround myself with or people that are thinking likewise, and we just want to fly. Like, we honestly don't care where it is at the moment. I think we all know that there is going to come a time where you do get responsibilities, kids and a wife and so on. So you just want to go wherever and test out all the waters that you can while you are still able to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the the trend is more towards trying to chuck overseas. For especially my peers, they don't want to stick around for too long if they don't have to. So it's actually sad. I think there's going to be a big market. Potentially in South Africa, and like you said, the guys from Seme and those guys, they are starting to recruit again, and they are starting to grow. Crazy. I mean, like when you see on one of those Facebook groups, Seme bought another plane or Link opened another route or something. So there's definitely movement happening.
There is.
So and for myself as well, I think my idea was maybe to go overseas. I've been thinking about going overseas. I've been thinking of going to Hong Kong. I've been thinking of Europe, America, anywhere. But at the moment, it's literally just, where can I fly?
Yeah.
So the gist of it is basically any opportunity that comes your way,
Take
be grabbed.
Take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had many happy years flying locally here, so it's hard. I'd never say to a youngster, no, go overseas, because I was very happy flying here. But the industry has changed.
Yeah.
And things have, moved quite fast we don't really even know. I mean, a big topic last week we spoke about was what was happening at Southwest. They're short-staffed. There's still morons going on about that. It was a thing about the vaccines. It had stuff all to do with the vaccines. They were short-staffed, and the pilots were simply too tired.
Yeah.
Now, that is going to flow into other airlines around the world. There are shortages of pilots. I mean, airlines are already trying to accommodate it. Is it ANA? Japan clears ANA to switch pilots between A320s and A380s.
Really?
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Airbus Japan president, I'm not going to try and mention his name.
Come on, do it.
Yeah. Says the capability provides increased flexibility, adding the increase in revenue hours flown by pilots due to less standby and downtime results and a significant improvement in productivity. So it is going to happen. They have to find ways. It's a bit of a shift going from a 380 to a 320, I thought, but flight deck's the same, so I suppose they're professional, they can do it. So there are going to be these shortages, and I think maybe there's an opportunity for youngsters like yourself to be a little bit more critical early on and say, right, if you, my old man's favorite quote, begin something with the end in mind. So if you have the idea of where you want to end up, you need to almost choose that path that's going to get you there fastest.
Yeah.
Well, I tried that because the end in mind for me was retiring as a fat cat SAA captain on a 747 or A340.
And now you ended up a fat cat co-host of the Brian Air podcast.
Either way, I suppose fat cat's still there.
Yeah. But look, it's an interesting subject, and you've got to bring it up. It is happening. This shift it's quite remarkable. There's a massive shortage looming here, where guys like yourself are going to be able to be a little bit more picky and choosy than we were, and I think that might be the catalyst that might be the reason why the ab initio flight schools are packed.
Yeah, they're doing very, very well. Like the schools I'm training at Wonderboom, and the schools at Wonderboom are also they're buying new planes. Well, I won't say they're showing people away, but they're struggling to get space in the schedule for all the guys to fly.
That's so nice to hear.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's great when you have to stand in a queue to get into Wonderboom. That's amazing. It's like driving here and seeing a KLM 747 taking off again.
Yeah.
It's a cool sight.
The recovery is definitely. I mean, where I stay, I'm sort of on a almost direct sort of center line, about 17 miles, without giving away my location.
Which runway?
03 left, Joburg. But the other night, for the last couple of weeks at night, it's back to that. From about 7 in the evening, these heavies are coming over, and
so cool.
I missed that for a long, long time. Like, there goes Lufthansa, Air France, and it's back. So it's exciting. I'm thrilled for the industry as a whole because of that. Yeah.
Do you want my Brian Air advisory?
Shoot.
Bitcoin is nearly at 1 bar.
Yeah, that stings, man.
So, I passed on the info to you actually to listen to the Tom Viljoen Impact Theory podcast. It was with the guy Robert Breedlove. They spoke about money, not about crypto. It was about money. So I think an important thing to learn right now is about what's happening in the crypto space. It doesn't mean you have to go and buy crypto, but one needs an understanding about what's going to happen. There's a lot of conversations around it, and if you don't have a knowledge of the subject, you're left out of those conversations. There's a whole area where you might find a path to success you're now not part of. So that podcast was really good in giving a real baseline understanding of what Bitcoin is in particular, and what other shit coins are doing. But it spoke about money and crypto. That was the one thing. But it also spoke about learning things in the first principle. And I've always heard that term and never really understood it. Like, first principles, what does it mean? So basically, the real ground layer of a subject. In this case, it was about money. So what is money? Where does it come from? How is it stored? And all the rest. And it went into the gold standard and all that. But for the first time, I now understand a bit about money. Taken 40 years, but it's there. But also to understand something in the first principle. We get students that come here to Samira. We try and train them. And if you're training at a level that is above their initial level of understanding, you've lost the class before it's begun. Exactly.
I want to touch on that. I mean, having had the opportunity and the privilege now to do a bit of ground lecturing here at Samiro, I've noticed when you're trying to explain things, you have to go to the very, very basic levels with some guys to gain a certain level of understanding with them, or get them to understand. And I mean, I was listening to a podcast this morning as well when they were talking about learning maths. Some people are visual learners, and it's basically falls down to drawing basic pictures, and to watch someone's mind light up when they finally understand something or concept, it's amazing. And it goes all about that, understanding first principles. It's quite something to get into. So try and learn something in the first principle. I should have written this down. What's that? you like Jordan Peterson as well. It's one quote he has, what you already know is not as important as what you don't yet know. Something to that extent. So you need to learn things from a base layer, and don't be scared to ask to try and understand something first. That was the one thing. Once you finish that podcast, then Robert is in another one with Lex Friedman. Well worth it. They go a little bit deeper. It's like a 3-hour conversation about crypto. So you'll be deep in that crypto space by the end of that conversation. So well worth it. I've never heard a guy speak so eloquently as this Robert Breedlove did. And I can't be much older than you. Great podcast. Well worth it. That's my first tech tip for the week, or productivity tip. The second one is, did you guys watch the Tyson Fury fight the other day?
Yeah.
I missed it.
I watched it.
That fight with Deontay Wilder was insane.
Yeah.
It was one of the best heavyweight fights you'll ever see. That was ridiculous.
I missed it.
It was ridiculous.
I was too busy preparing for the podcast.
I think it is still on catch up. I saw it last night. So go and check it on catch up. It's worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah, I think the highlights on is the full fight on.
The full fight is on catch up. Yep.
Okay. So thanks for that. Watch it on catch up.
Cool.
It's brilliant. One of the best heavyweight fights are sometimes so rubbish. The guy gets knocked out in the second round and they just dance around. It was a fantastic fight. So go and watch that. It was well worth it. It's been awesome today to have you on, Lehan. I know it's not going to be the last time.
Nah, I'm going to be here a lot.
You're going to be here a few times. You're going to probably be here for some aviation training as well at some point.
Well, I mean, you guys have been talking about how cool it looks and about Samira. And I mean, you can try and explain to someone, but like, when I walked in here, I think, did I stop smiling?
Yeah, you
Like,
did a bit.
Well, because I was overwhelmed.
It was like watching one of those little girls at a Katy Perry concert. It's like,
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
I prefer Justin Bieber.
you look like Justin Bieber.
How did that?
Thank you. Question mark?
Just joking.
I'm joking. No, it's a pleasure. And I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I'm a big fan of the podcast as well. Unfortunately, I
man.
only found out about the podcast recently, thanks to Mr. Wood. But yeah, big fan, and thanks for what you guys are doing for the industry. And
No, only a
it's pretty
pleasure,
cool.
man. We like to support the people that are making a difference in the industry, and you playing your part there, and what you're doing is great. It really is. We'd like to see you back. We'd like to see you in one of our sims. You did really well in the MD there today, so
Thank you.
you obviously got the flying gene, and no, really nice to see. Flying Eyes is backing us, thanks to Ryan. Forced them into an agreement. Yeah, please support Lehan and his Flying Eyes franchise. Click on that link and check it out. Don't have to buy anything. Just go check what he's done. He's got an awesome shop storefront. It's really fantastic, and it might give a few people some other ideas if they're looking into that e-commerce space. And hey, if you need someone to help set up that e-commerce setup, he's the guy to do it as well. So very cool, and it's nice to see someone doing so well with it.
Yeah.
We got a few other people that support us all the time, and couldn't do it without them. Haven't mentioned them for a while, but Go Aviate has been a critical supporter of ours, and thanks to Jason Northwood and his team for backing us. Check out Go Aviate, also link in the show notes. And Aviation 4SA, Craig, we mentioned him a few times, and a real pillar of strength for us and everyone in the community. He really backs everyone.
Yeah,
and
That's true.
he phoned me. He said, hey, do you know this guy? Do you know Lehan? I said, no, I don't. He has his number. He's going to phone you. And within a couple of hours, you picked up the phone and phoned me, and then we made a connection, and that's what it's all about, man.
Exactly.
It's really, it goes a hell of a long way. And I want to give a boost to Sim Aero again, Ryan, because we were talking about it before the show started. We couldn't do the podcast without Sim Aero.
Yeah.
We need the financial income to be able to do this. They give us a place to do it. They give us a lot of content in which to talk about, so they're a critical part. And so shout out to Sim Aero. We're getting quite busy at the moment. It's pushed to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Sims are busy. A lot of guys coming back for training. Airpiece is coming back. Seme have booked the Dash 8 and the 1900. The thing is flying flat out. So yeah, it's looking really good. It excites us all for what lies ahead next year. There's bookings coming in for next year. It's a hell of a good sign for what's happening in the industry. It really is. Just look at the booking sheet. That's all you need to look at. Where do you think the industry is going to be in 3 or 4 months' time? Look at the Sim Aero booking sheet, and it's filling up. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's amazing. This place is a hive of activity at the moment, and we got a lot of great guys training here. Our crowd from Passionaire, 2 wonderful crew members. I'm really enjoying working with these 2 guys, and everyone else that's coming through at the moment. It's awesome.
Yeah. And thanks to all of you for all your support. Couldn't do it without you. It really is fantastic. All the guys that shoot me messages, Adrian Badenhorst in Hong Kong. He was the guy sitting there in quarantine.
Shame.
So shout out to everyone that supports us. The expat support we get is insane. So thank you, everyone. Support us by clicking subscribe, like, follow, share. More people that know about us, the better.
Yeah. From our side, thanks very much, man. It's been great to meet you today and chat with you, and good luck with everything going forward. And we'll see you on the show again soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.